All right, so a lot going on today, June 4th, 2025, as we are receiving nuclear warnings coming out and also word that phone calls coming out. President Donald Trump saying some of the peace agreement deals that they're working on have fallen apart. Now, let me go ahead and share with you the latest headlines, the video footage. I'm going to play it for you, breaking today, June 4th, 2025, so that way you can see it for yourself. And like I said, I'm going to play for you the video clips here in just a second, but let's take a look at the headlines coming out today. Iran's supreme leader sends a nuclear warning directly to the United States. You can see this coming out just a couple of hours ago. Here's another one. Iran's supreme leader has rejected the U.S. zero uranium enrichment demands as 100% against its interest. Now, we're going to be talking about the United States, Iran, the nuclear warnings and threats that are coming out. But in addition to that, coming out just about an hour ago today, we're also hearing things might not be going so well between Donald Trump, the United States, and Russia and Vladimir Putin. Take a look at the latest headlines with me coming out today. Trump and Putin speak in the aftermath of a Ukrainian drone strike. And what we're hearing is Trump says that Putin on the call has vowed retaliation for the drone strike. Putin will not be backing down. Now, Trump said that he was going to be giving him an ultimatum saying you need to step away from this war within 2 weeks or bad things are going to be happening. And what we heard was Russia pretty much just laughed it off. And take a look here. You can see I reported this to you about a week ago. Trump appears to set a Putin 2-week deadline on Ukraine, saying, you must resolve this issue. We cannot have this going on any longer. There needs to be a ceasefire. And Russia's response was former Russian president threatens Trump with World War III after his criticisms of Putin. And we are hearing now that today there was a phone call between Donald Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin. I'm going to be playing the video footage for you. And we're hearing that Trump is saying it looks like there is not going to be a ceasefire or any type of peace anytime in the immediate future. Right now, things are not going the way of peace. We are going the direction of war. Things are escalating between Russia and Ukraine and in the Middle East. Things are intensifying. What does this all mean for the United States and our involvement and where things currently stand as we are receiving these warnings? I'm going to get you caught up on the latest so that way you know exactly what is going on. Now, if you think that we are about to enter into World War III, as you saw from those warnings, drop a 3 in the comments if you think that is the direction we're going, or maybe you think we're already in World War III, it just hasn't been announced yet. Or if you think, no, there will be peace, things will not escalate, we're going to get through this, it's going to be okay, and we're not going to go into a global conflict, drop a 4 in the comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But let's go ahead and dive right in, get you caught up on the latest coming out today. A lot unfolding today, June 4th, 2025. And if you appreciate the updates, keeping you up to speed on everything, don't forget to take a quick second, hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further across the YouTube platform so more people can get the latest updated information. Also, as you guys know, here on the channel, I try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability. So I cite all of the sources. They're going to be hyperlinked in the description, so you can click these articles, read them for yourself. I'm going to put them on the screen, read right from them, show you the dates, the sources, so you know that this is the latest. And if you like that and you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? All you got to do is hit that subscribe button just very quickly, and I will keep you up to date with daily updates, even multiple daily updates if needed as they come out, because there is a lot unfolding in our world right now. In addition to that, a lot of people are asking about iodide potassium tablets, protecting that thyroid in case you have some sort of radiation exposure. Should we go the route of nuclear war or some sort of exposure or bombs taking place? Those are going to be linked in the description below. I've got Amazon links for you. You can click them. It's like $15, $20 if you need some more advanced ones for kids or the elderly. Not a bad idea to just have some on hand ready, along with other supplies as well. A lot of people asking me about that stockpile list. That is down below. But let's go ahead and get you guys caught up on the latest. And I see a lot of 3s pouring in. A lot of people saying that they believe we are going in the direction of war. Now, regardless of what unfolds, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel so you know exactly what is going on. But let's go ahead and start off with some video footage, and then we're going to dive into some of these articles. They're going to give us more details as to what has been unfolding today, June 4th, 2025. So let's get you caught up on the latest, and let's start off with some video footage about the United States and Russia in the phone call that just took place a little while ago.
Well, we have some breaking news. President Trump announcing he has just spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He wrote this on Truth Social. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The call lasted approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. Those were those Ukrainian attacks on the airfields with the drones. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to President Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And on this, I believe that we were in agreement. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion, the president continued, that Iran has been slow walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. A few interesting notes here. First, just yesterday in Istanbul, you had the Ukrainian side meet with the Russian side, and they were talking about swapping injured soldiers, but they admitted there is no immediate end of peace in sight, an immediate ceasefire. Not only that, we know that Russia is a close ally of Iran. They partner together strategically, militarily. So any assistance on that front could push Iran perhaps into an agreement. So two interesting notes there. And Ari, this all comes against the backdrop of President Trump saying, I'll know in 2 weeks whether Putin is serious. And he said that about a week and a half ago. So this development coming as he's really prodding Putin to push towards peace.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like there's going to be any prospect of peace between Ukraine and Russia. If there were, if the president had any inclination from President Putin that there was something encouraging, we'd have seen it in that Truth Social. Its absence speaks volumes. Look, I think the only way to get peace between Ukraine and Russia is for Ukraine to continue to bring the war into Russia. That strike against the 40 Russian long-range bombers was instrumental in telling the Russian people and the Russian government there's a cost to you for continuing your attacks in Ukraine. You need a stalemate in order for two parties to come to a peace terms. Right now, there's been an imbalance until this recent Ukrainian attack inside Russia. I don't know if the Ukrainians can sustain it, though. And if you're Russia, you might want to just continue to keep the attacks going because you think you can win. That's why I think this was very risky for President Trump to think he could be the peacemaker. America's strong. President Trump is strong, but we can't do everything around the world. And I think if Russia and Ukraine won't make peace, we can't do it for them.
Kayleigh, interestingly, in the middle of that Truth Social, is President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. I'm sure that caught the ear of Zelensky.
Absolutely. And I think that one thing to Trump's credit is we have full confidence that both Putin and Iran, all these other countries that he's dealing with, know for a fact that Donald Trump is not messing around. I think what's happening here is Putin is deliberately testing the bounds to see how far he can push Trump, how far he can push this administration before receiving a really harsh rebuke. But Donald Trump is not messing around. And I think that these countries know that, the American people know that, and that's why they elected him to handle our foreign policy.
Yeah, and Laura, this comes against the background of the Hill. The Russia hawks are meeting today. It's a bipartisan group. It's Blumenthal and Graham about potential sanctions on Russia. You know, notably, I always point out President Trump on his watch, you did not see Putin go into sovereign territory. You did see that with his predecessor. You saw that with President Biden. There was an absence for years. So there is a respect there that could be leveraged by President Trump.
Yeah, and he's talked about that, too. You know, we didn't see the issue in the Middle East. When Donald Trump was in the White House, we didn't see an issue with Russia, in large part when he was in the White House. I interviewed last week on my show General Keith Kellogg, who is the special envoy to Russia and Ukraine. And when he was talking about the discussions that have been had, that he was privy to between these two countries, he says Ukraine is very clear on what their parameters are, where they are, and what it would take for them to come to a peace agreement. Russia is not. He said they will not actually give us any framework to use. And so I think that's the needle that President Trump is trying to thread. If there's anyone who can thread that needle, if there's anyone, to Kayleigh's point, who can tell the rest of the world, I mean business, and they know he means business, it's President Donald J. Trump. And I'm still hopeful that we're going to see peace.
Keith Kellogg is the perfect person to talk to, Emily, because there's the public conversation where President Trump is broadcasting one message. The private conversation with the world leader is very, very different. And sometimes we've seen that spill over in Oval Office meetings we've covered here. But how he talks to Putin, I know from talking to Kellogg, it's going to be in a tough manner. Kellogg has stories about him picking up the phone, talking to the Taliban, to Baradar, saying, do not harm the head on an American troop. And thereafter, many, many months, not a single American troop was harmed. Those kinds of hard conversations are the hour-and-a-half ones that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think we've caught glimpses of that in the public eye of exactly who the president is. He's the same off air as he is on air. And I think while that may have surprised members of the public, it doesn't surprise those who look at him with respect and value the fact that he is authentically himself in every conversation. I'm grateful that you pointed out the Ukraine point, because I think specifically that Putin apparently talked about sort of a retaliation. And I point that out that Ukraine bombed them because they were the ones that were invaded. This is an oversimplification, but it seems to me that Putin is sort of interested in an eye for an eye at every point of the way, because to your point, Putin sees Ukraine as his territory. Like nothing less than subsuming it back within his borders will suffice, because to him, that's a loss. That was a lost territory this entire time. He sees it as not sovereign. So I'm not quite sure if that approach and that perspective that Putin has is something workable on the Ukrainian side, because it's like a, football penalties. I mean, he's like, oh, I have to get them back for this. Wasn't it enough that you invaded? But clearly it's not. So tough road ahead. I agree that my faith is in our president to get it done if it's possible, but I think we still have a rocky road ahead.
This is also where I question President Trump's ability to influence these events, because President Putin does not care. And we, as Americans, we don't have much leverage over Russia. We're adversaries of Russia for the most part. We don't do a lot of commercial trade with Russia. So we don't have the leverage we have in other places that President Trump can use. So I think this is a lonely mission for President Trump, and he's going to quickly come to the realization Putin's not listening. America doesn't have a lot of leverage. There are other priorities for the United States around this world.
And he also said last week that something is off with Putin. Something is different about Vladimir Putin. So I'm wondering if that's playing into this as well. Maybe it's a different Vladimir Putin than he dealt with the first term in office.
Or it's the same Vladimir Putin who's always been.
And Putin, it's worth noting, I know that all eyes are on Ukraine, but he is constructing on the border of Estonia. They call that the edge of the free world, because that's where you start to get into NATO territory. Does he have designs beyond Ukraine? Let's certainly hope not, but we'll see.
Hey,
there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Are we going to be seeing Russia and Ukraine escalate? Are we going to be having a world war? Some people saying we're already in the middle of it. If you think so, put a 3. If you think no, put a 4. And don't forget to hit that like button while you drop those 3s and 4s. Now, in addition to that, we heard them talking about how things are escalating, despite the fact that Trump had said, you've got 2 weeks to get this figured out. 2 weeks, put a ceasefire together. Otherwise, there's going to be problems here. He said bad things are going to happen. And we're seeing that basically is void now. Russia, Putin, basically saying, whatever, we're not concerned with your threats. Things are escalating. And today we're hearing that there was a phone call that took place, as you heard them mention. Let's go ahead and take a look at an article that's going to be covering this in more detail coming out today. This all took place today, Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. Trump and Putin speak in the aftermath of a Ukrainian drone strike. And what we're hearing is that Trump is coming out and saying there is not going to be any immediate peace at this time. Things are escalating. That 2-week ultimatum is pretty much off of the table, and there will be a retaliation that is going to be coming. Escalation is coming, Putin has said. Let's take a look at this article here. It says, President Trump said Wednesday today that he spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin in the aftermath of a Ukrainian drone attack on Russian bombers and amid a stalled push for an end to the war in Ukraine. Trump posted on Truth Social that the call lasted roughly 1 hour and 15 minutes. The two leaders discussed the Ukrainian drone attack and also various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides, Trump said. It was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. So, no peace in sight at this time. The two leaders also discussed ongoing efforts by the Trump administration to reach a nuclear deal with Iran, according to Trump. We're going to be looking at that here in just a second, because today we're hearing nuclear warnings coming out from Iran to the United States, and Iran totally 100% rejecting a nuclear deal agreement with the U.S. What does this mean? We had heard that if there could not be a deal, that the U.S. in tandem with Israel would be attacking Iran. So we could be going the route of war in the Middle East as well. Like I said, I've got video footage and updates coming out today, June 4th. We're going to be looking at that here in just a second as well. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion, Trump posted. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. Wednesday's phone call marked the second time Trump has spoken on the phone with Putin since May 19th. Trump has been pushing for an end to the war in Ukraine, and while officials from Russia and Ukraine have held direct talks in recent weeks, the two sides do not seem close to a ceasefire agreement. Russian forces invaded Ukraine in February of 2022 after amassing troops near the border. Trump has ramped up his criticism of Putin last week, warning that Russia's leader was playing with fire, with missile strikes on Ukraine sided, and saying Putin had gone absolutely crazy. Ukraine last week struck one of its most devastating blows in its war against Russia's invading armies, using smuggled drones to target bombers on air bases deep inside of Russian territory. The White House said Trump was not given advance notice of the Ukrainian operations. So there you have it, you guys. We're hearing that today. Those phone calls have taken place, and Russia has said there will not be a ceasefire at this time. They will be responding to what's unfolding. There will not be a stop to the war. And this comes despite the fact that a week ago, Trump gave them an ultimatum of 2 weeks was the deadline to come to a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. Putin has said it means nothing to them. They will be retaliating. And this comes as well as the former president has warned the United States of World War III after their criticisms. Trump, he had said that it was reckless, it says Trump's special envoy of Ukrainian Keith Kellogg hit back at reckless comments by security official Dmitry Medvedev. So there is rhetoric going on between the two, and it is not looking like we're going in the direction of peace. So a lot of tensions and escalation right now going on with Russia, Ukraine, and the United States. And we're hearing that peace does not look like it is an option right now. Now, in addition to that, we have breaking news coming out today about Iran and the nuclear warnings. We are hearing that Iran has officially rejected President Donald Trump's nuclear weapons deal. And there are some warnings coming out from the supreme leader to the United States. Iran essentially saying, we will enrich uranium as much as we want, to the point that we want, and we will have nuclear weapons. And those nuclear weapons, we're hearing, they will most likely be used against Israel and the United States. And Israel and the United States saying they're ready to hit. In fact, Israel ready, wanting to hit Iran, only holding back because Donald Trump said he first wanted to try to see if there was some sort of diplomatic agreement that could be reached before we had to go the route of actual attacks. But it looks like we are going to be going that direction. As of today, June 4th, let's go ahead and take a look at the video footage so that way you can see it for yourself.
Right now, I do want to start this morning with some breaking news that we are following out of the Middle East. Take a look. This is some of the video out of Iran as we cover this developing story. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has now criticized and appears to have flat out rejected a proposal by the U.S. amid negotiations over Tehran's rapidly advancing nuclear program. His remarks a short time ago saying Iran refuses to give up enriching uranium in any possible deal, which is essentially the purpose of any kind of deal with the U.S. The demand has been made repeatedly by President Trump and his administration, though because the meetings have happened behind closed doors, it's not quite clear yet exactly how much U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff discussed in his initial proposal. Khamenei did not reject future talks between the U.S. and Iran on the issue, but again reiterated that Iran will continue to enrich uranium, which is a major step forward in its nuclear program and building nuclear weapons. Khamenei also did not insist on any specific level of nuclear enrichment. Iran now does enrich uranium up to 60%, a short technical step from weapons-grade levels. Iran's foreign minister, who has led the talks with Witkoff, said Tehran soon will offer its response officially to the U.S. Khamenei during his speech saying, quote, "If we had 100 nuclear power plants while not having enrichment, they are not usable for us. If we do not have enrichment, then we should extend our hand begging to the U.S." The 86-year-old, who does have the final say on all matters of state in Iran, often balances his remarks over the demands of reformists within the country who want the talks against hardline elements within Iran's theocracy, including the paramilitary Revolutionary Guard. Late in August, Khamenei, in a speech, opened the door to possible talks with the U.S., saying there is, quote, "no harm in engaging with the quote-unquote enemy." The supreme leader later tempered that, saying that negotiations with America, quote, "are not intelligent, wise, or honorable," after President Trump did float nuclear talks with Tehran. Do want to pop this up on your screen because we are getting reaction, and that includes from the Israel war room saying that Iran's chief terrorist, Ali Khamenei, publicly rejected President Trump's nuclear deal offer today, vowing the regime will keep enriching uranium. The U.S. has reiterated its zero-tolerance stance on enrichment, warning it would enable Iran's regime to build nuclear weapons. Now, at this point, we have not heard a response from President Trump, but I imagine once he does hear about this, he will be posting on his Truth Social page, so we will bring you that information right here on Live Now from Fox as we do get it. In the meantime, I do want to head out to the Middle East as we do have the latest happening between the U.S. and Hamas over in Gaza. Trey Yingst reporting from the scene.
Family members of Palestinians killed by Israeli bullets weep over the bodies of their loved ones. Israeli soldiers fired on dozens of people who were just over a quarter mile from an aid distribution site. Asked about the shooting, the Israeli military said, quote, "The IDF is aware of reports regarding casualties, and the details of the incident are being looked into." The military confirmed firing on these Palestinians and says that they had deviated from a designated route. A spokesman for Israel's prime minister confirmed the incident took place before claiming without evidence that the IDF did not fire at civilians near the aid distribution zones.
Israel is not preventing Gazans from accessing humanitarian aid, and the IDF did not fire at civilians in or near aid distribution zones.
All of the injured were of different ages. The majority were young men in civilian clothing and included children and women.
The latest incident comes as Israeli soldiers are expanding ground operations against Hamas. Over the weekend, 3 Israeli soldiers were killed by a roadside bomb that Hamas planted in northern Gaza. The Trump administration is calling for a diplomatic solution to end the ongoing war, stop the suffering of Palestinian civilians, and bring the remaining hostages held by Hamas home.
These are imperfect situations for catastrophic areas where the rest of the world has wanted this to be done. We have to try, and that's what they're doing.
So far, diplomatic efforts to reach a ceasefire have failed. Both Israel and Hamas have agreed to a deal, but they're looking at different agreements. In Tel Aviv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Things are escalating in the Middle East, along with Russia and Ukraine. And again, this all coming out today, June 4th, 2025. Now, let me go ahead and share with you the latest regarding these nuclear warnings that we're hearing about as Iran's supreme leader sends a nuclear warning directly to the U.S. You can see this coming out just a couple of hours ago today. Let's get into the details, as they're saying they are rejecting the United States' offer for some sort of nuclear peace agreement. And the United States is saying by no means can Iran have a nuclear weapon, because as you guys know, Iran shouts death to Israel, death to the United States, says Israel is the little Satan or the little devil, and the United States is the big Satan or the big devil. So any nuclear weapons in the hands of Iran is essentially an existential threat, not only to Israel, but to the United States as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at this article. It's going to give us some updates coming out just in the past couple of hours. Iran's supreme leader delivered a fiery speech on Wednesday today, condemning U.S. demands over its nuclear program as rude and insolent, and accusing Washington of trying to block Iran's progress and self-sufficiency. He warned that the United States cannot do a damn thing. So right now, they're coming out against the United States specifically. So we are seeing that this is not towards just Israel. This is a warning from Iran right to the United States. Here's why it matters. The response from Iran's supreme leaders is the clearest yet to a nuclear proposal made by the administration of the United States President Donald Trump, who has threatened to use military force if there is no deal. So please understand that what is unfolding today, June 4th, 2025, this is rhetoric that is going into war. This is going into attacks. This is not speculation. This is not threats that are empty. Right now, the United States and Israel are ready to hit Iran. Donald Trump is trying to avoid war with the United States and Iran, and we're hearing that the efforts that have been made by Donald Trump are now not coming through. And it looks like Iran is saying that they do not care, and it looks like attacks are likely going to be coming on the way here. They also underlined Iran's commitment to uranium enrichment, the main sticking point. Trump has said no enrichment would be allowed to prevent Iran acquiring nuclear weapons, something Tehran says it does not seek. Tensions are high as Washington awaits an official response to the proposal sent following several rounds of talks previously described as positive by both sides. So here's what to know. The U.S.'s first word is that Iran should not have a nuclear industry. Our response to America's nonsense claims is clear. They cannot do a damn thing in this matter. The Supreme Leader was quoted as saying by the semi-official Mir News agency. Now, the Supreme Leader later took to social media, saying that the U.S. seeks to block Iran's nuclear industry in order to keep the country dependent on Washington for radiopharmaceuticals, energy, desalination technology, and other critical sectors. Uranium enrichment, and source of pride for Iran, is at the heart of a long rift between the two countries. While Iran says it does not seek nuclear weapons, the American administration has voiced concerns over reported significant enrichment activities closer to bomb-grade levels. And I believe that just for nuclear power, it only needs to be around 3%. Right now, we're hearing that Iran has enriched their uranium up to the point of 60%, and around 90% is to get those weapon-grade levels. And so they are closer to a nuclear weapon than they would just need for simple energy. They have far surpassed that, and they're saying, on their way to enriching to the point of having nuclear warheads. A confidential report from the International Atomic Energy Agency says that Iran conducted secret nuclear activities with undeclared materials at 3 sites long under scrutiny. In response, the U.S., Britain, France, and Germany, they are urging the IAEA to declare Iran in breach of its non-proliferation commitments, according to Reuters. So Iran has these secret nuclear activities that are taking place. They're not disclosing them. They're trying to do it hidden and away from everybody from knowing. They are trying to create nuclear weapons without the rest of the world knowing. Denying allegations, Iranian deputy foreign minister warned against what he described as a politically motivated move against that could derail Tehran's cooperation with the UN watchdog, according to Tehran Times. Here's what people are saying. The Supreme Leader on X said thousands of nuclear scientists and researchers have been trained in Iran. Should we disappoint them, make them unemployed, and take away their hope in our country's future? The rude, insolent U.S. leaders want this. They're opposed to progress and self-sufficiency for the Iranian people. In the current nuclear talks that are being mediated by Oman, the U.S.'s proposal is 100% against the spirit of what we can. What the U.S. is demanding is that you should have no nuclear industry at all and be dependent on them. U.S. President Donald Trump wrote on social media, under our potential agreement, We will not allow any enrichment of uranium. Donald Trump coming out very aggressively and saying Iran is not allowed to have this. They will not. So what happens next? Iran must make a formal response to the U.S. proposals. Authorities on both sides are yet to confirm if a sixth round of nuclear talks will be taking place. So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we going to be going to war with Iran? If you think so, put war in the comments. Are we going to be able to reach some sort of peace deal agreement? I've heard a lot of people say Iran does not want to mess with the United States and Donald Trump. If you think this is a whole lot of talk, and in the end they're going to back off, put peace. Let me know your thoughts. I'd be curious to see what people think. And while you're dropping war or peace in the comments, don't forget to take a quick second and hit that like button. Now, in addition to that, we've got another article that just came out less than an hour ago that's going to give us some more updates. This one coming out from Fox News. Let's go ahead and take a look here. It says the Supreme Leader rejects the U.S. zero uranium enrichment demand as 100% against their interests. Now, this article says Iran's Supreme Leader on Wednesday today came out swinging at the United States. And again, to clarify, this is not against Israel. This is specific against the United States. They are making accusations and threats against us specifically, which apparently included a call for zero uranium enrichment, to which the Iranian leader said was 100% against Tehran's interests. The issue of whether the U.S. would push a complete ban on uranium enrichment, a process that is needed to produce nuclear energy as well as warheads, came into question this week after reporting suggested a U.S. proposal submitted to Iran through Omanian mediators on Saturday allowed for low levels enrichment. President Donald Trump appeared to refute this on social media this week, and on Wednesday, today, the Supreme Leader, who did not comment directly on the specifics of the proposal, said that in the current nuclear talks that are being mediated by Oman, the U.S.'s proposal is 100% against the spirit of we can. President Trump on Wednesday, today, said that he spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin. We just covered that in previous video footage and articles just a little while ago on Iran's nuclear program, and both were in agreement that Tehran cannot have a nuclear weapon. President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. Trump said in a readout detailing their discussions, "It is my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definite answer in a very short period of time." The U.S. has not said how much time it will allow negotiations with Iran to continue for. The Supreme Leader did not say that Iran was unwilling to continue negotiations with the United States, though Tehran has repeatedly insisted that a zero enrichment policy is a non-starter. A nuclear industry without enrichment capabilities is useless, because we would then be dependent on others to obtain fuel for our power plants, he said. Included in the proposal was apparently a call for a regional coalition of enrichment that could provide Iran with the uranium it needs for civilian projects like energy. What the U.S. is demanding is that you should have no nuclear industry at all and be dependent on them, the Supreme Leader pointed out. Now, Iranian authorities said this week that this idea was not a new concept, and while Tehran is not opposed to being part of such a coalition, it would not serve as an adequate substitute, even though Iran relies on nuclear energy for less than 1% of its energy consumption. Gary Schrieb, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says, when the talks stop, war follows. Pray for talks. Right now, we're hearing there is talks underway. Thank you for that $2 super chat, Gary. I appreciate that. And to those that have sent the super chats, thank you so much. I appreciate it a ton. The Iranian leader said on Wednesday today that Iran's nuclear development has become a source of national pride and claimed the number of countries in the world that have achieved a complete nuclear fuel cycle is perhaps fewer than the number of fingers on a person's two hands. We're capable of producing nuclear fuel, starting from the mine and all the way to the power plant, he added. Iran has also repeatedly claimed that it does not intend to develop a nuclear weapon, though its near weapons-grade enrichment levels and missile programs have suggested otherwise and prompted immense concern among international security officials, including the UN's nuclear watchdogs and the International Atomic Energy Agency. Vic the Red, thank you for the $5 super chat. Russia agreeing to help prevent Iran from having nukes was not on my bingo card. Yeah, and let me know your thoughts on that as well. We're hearing Iran and Russia are actually allies. So will they actually be a part of that? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for that super chat. And you too, Tony Mostello, thank you for the $2 super chat as well. It says, appreciate you. I will continue to keep you up to date. Now, reading on, it says the Supreme Leader's comments regarding Iran's possession of a nuclear weapon were among the most fervent that he has issued, and again called into question Tehran's claims that it is not looking to make itself the 10th nuclear nation. So we're hearing again that this is escalating. They are claiming that they don't want nuclear weapons, yet they are enriching to the point of that. Do you believe Iran? I think the vast majority of the world right now feels like Iran is lying, as we are hearing that they have these secret facilities where they are doing whatever they want, enriching uranium, preparing potentially for a nuclear weapon. You Americans possess atomic bombs and have the massive destruction of the world at your disposal, he said in a series of posts on X. What business is it of yours whether the Iranian nation should or should not have uranium enrichment, or whether it should or should not have a nuclear industry? Why are you interfering and trying to say whether Iran should have uranium enrichment or not? That's none of your business, the Supreme Leader said. Wow, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And of course, the argument for that is, well, when you shout death to the United States and call us the big Satan, and you shout death to Israel and call them the little Satan, I think having weapons of mass destruction that are an existential threat to the United States, I think that does make it our business when potentially we could be on the other end of those nuclear weapons. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you trust Iran? If so, put yes in the comments. If no, put no. But I personally believe that the vast majority of the world right now does not believe what is coming out of Iran's mouth. And it is a big deal for us to make sure that we are watching exactly what is going on with that uranium enrichment. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Do you trust Iran? No or yes? And while you're dropping those no's and yeses, don't forget to take a quick second and hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further so more people can get the latest updated information coming out today, June 4th, 2025. In fact, we only need 10 more likes to have 1,000 while we are live. That would be awesome. I appreciate it a ton. So there is a lot going on with that right now. Today, June 4th, a lot of updates coming out. In addition to that, stay tuned because I'm going to do some more research. I heard as well that here in the United States, there are claims that Chinese nationalists are coming and trying to poison our food supply as another form of an attack on the U.S. And we've heard the warnings I shared with you that war is going to be imminent with China here very soon, trying to invade Taiwan. And when that happens, that will also cause another issue of conflict with the U.S., as we're hearing that China has been preparing strategically, like a chess move, anticipating that when they attack Taiwan, the United States is going to be coming to the aid of Taiwan. And when they do that, China will also cripple the U.S. before we're able to assist them by hitting our critical infrastructure systems, our food and water supplies, our transportation, communications, an assortment of different things. And now I'm hearing today, June 4th, 2025 as well, that Chinese nationalists have been caught trying to poison the food supply in our U.S. farms. Now, like I said, I'm going to get more information on it, do a little bit more research. I like to provide all the sources before I do it, but I saw that coming out today too, in addition to the calls that are taking place right now between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin and the warnings we're hearing coming out from Iran against the United States regarding nuclear weapons and nuclear attacks. So if you want to stay up to date on all of it, like I said, don't forget, take a second, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. I will keep you up to date as the information rolls out so you know exactly what is going on. But there is a lot taking place. And again, let me know your thoughts. Are we going to be going to World War III? Sure feels like there is a lot of conflict taking place in the United States, in the world involving the United States. And any one of these, it feels like, could be on the brink of just that tipping point that escalates it into a major global conflict. If you think we're going to World War III, or you think we're already in it and we just haven't realized it yet, drop those threes. If you think no, peace is possible, we might be able to get through this without things blowing up and escalating, drop a 4. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But like I said, I will continue to keep you guys up to date on everything so you know exactly what is taking place here on the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay tuned because, like I said, I might do another update today as well on the food supply warning coming out with Chinese poisoning U.S. crops. But like I said, I'll get some more information, hop on, get you the latest. But that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll continue to keep you up to date. Stay prayed up. Pray for our nation. Pray for our world. And I'll continue to keep you up to speed on everything. Thank you so much for joining me. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.